15. My name is Matt Connarton, and of course, my partner in crime in this venture, Todd Ayer, is here. Hello, Todd.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How's it hanging?
Right now it's hanging a little under the weather, my friend. I've got, as you can, I'm sure anyone can hear me. I've got some kind of like cold, allergy combo.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm hanging left. But I'll tell you what, this has been a brutal cold and flu season.
yeah,
I usually get sick once a year. In a typical year, I'll pick up something, usually early January, and then that's it, and then I'm good for another year. But this year, it's like I've been sick multiple times.
yeah, that's
I've
right.
been,
You have been. Yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It's and it seems like everybody I know has too. I've been a little bit stuffy yesterday and today, but then I think in my case it's allergies.
Yep.
Because as soon as we get that first wave of actual spring weather, because it's warm here right now,
Yep.
things start blooming, and so I don't mind. I just, I hate being sick, but allergies, it's like, okay, it's a sign of spring. Spring. I love spring. I love summer. So I'm happy. I just want everything to melt.
Yeah.
And I want it to melt as soon as possible. So, I don't mind the sniffle, but I'm sorry that you're not feeling well.
Yeah. I mean, just, it's more, frustrating than anything.
Oh yeah.
Because, I talk for a living and I write. Well,
Yeah.
The writing part isn't bad, but I do a lot of talking and a lot of, promoting and all of that sort of thing. And like, it's not easy to do those things,
Yeah.
when you sound like Nancy Naval. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Jenny, she's been dealing with, she had an ear infection and she still can't hear out of her right ear. And, and that was related to an upper respiratory thing that she had, seemingly. But yeah, I had one when I was a kid. One of my earliest childhood memories.
I can't remember the last time I had an ear infection. I feel like that's mostly children, but anyway.
Tends to be.
Yeah.
Tends to be. But happy spring. I know technically, according to the calendar, it's not spring, but it is I can't say it. Meteorological spring as of March 1st. So, and things are melting and blooming, and hopefully we're done with the snow. What is the date? It is March 8th. 2026. Karen joins us in the chat room, by the way.
Yay, Karen.
Live viewers. She says, I'm here. So if you are joining us live, welcome. Feel free to interact in the chat room on this March 8th, 2026. And of course, to everybody else who joins us via the podcast version of the show, please subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Or if it's YouTube, please like and subscribe. We appreciate that very, very much. Todd, what do you want to talk about first?
I guess we can talk about the, metaphoric camel in the room. I won't say elephant because we're dealing with the Middle East here. And that, non-war that is a war.
Mm-hmm. What is so interesting to me is, seeing it gets, the political ramifications of it. It gets a little bit, people get hyperbolic about it. They call it a civil war within MAGA because you have some influencers and some media people who are MAGA who are questioning, the prudence of this. But of course, most of them still go along with. I mean, most of them, honestly, if Trump told them the sky was green, they would all go outside, look up at the sky, and say, "Yeah, I never noticed before, but it is kind of green, isn't it?" So, but it is fun to see a few of them kind of split off here and there.
I mean, yes, but they're not really doing anything. It's like, I mean, I don't, it's like, the Democrats when they write, and Schumer when he writes the strongly worded letters, it's like, who cares? Like, actually do something of sustenance. Hey, Karen, how are you?
Oh, and by the way, hello to Loud Entertainment, who is also in the chat room. I was at an event last night
nice.
At the Magic Room in Norwood, Massachusetts. Some great bands. Sepsis was the headliner, also awaiting Abigail.
Trying to avoid sepsis. I don't want sepsis.
Under a terrible band name by their own admission. Also Under the Horizon and Sex Coffee was there. Sex Coffee.
I like Sex Coffee.
Sex Coffee. Name. Interestingly enough, all their songs were about sex. None of them were about coffee that I could tell, but great time last night. Thank you, Loud Entertainment, and welcome.
Well, maybe after having sex all night, you have to drink a lot of coffee to stay awake the next day. So there you go. There's
perhaps,
the metaphor.
Perhaps. Well, if you're doing it literally all night, that's probably the least of your problems of staying awake. It'd be a little
anyway,
yeah. So it is interesting to see how some on the right in the MAGA sphere are reacting to this, because one of the things that Trump ran on was, no more of these forever wars, no more getting bogged down in the Middle East and regime change and nation building, all of that. But
Well,
most of them figure out a way to just go along with whatever Trump tells them, because they don't really believe in anything. They just believe in him.
well, yeah, and I think what it is that you've got all of these people, like at this point, yes, Trump manipulates a lot of people, but it goes, it's what is the word I want? It's parasitical, it's mutually parasitical, because they also manipulate him. So, I mean, if you listen to that, like, what was like a war speech that Rubio gave at the Munich, was it like the peace convention? Not the peace convention. The I mean, he probably called it that because they call everything the opposite of what it is.
Right. The Board of Peace.
Yeah. But he was talking about like how, how unfortunate it is that, the days of the West going and sending their armies and their crusades and people, their pilgrims and all of these people to, civilize the uncivilized world, which is our rightful ordained right, according to these people. And it, I mean, I've never heard such talk about hyperbole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's interesting. Well, not interesting in a good way, but like, basically, he's like, this is the second coming of imperialism. And, I think there's a couple of them that punch their dance cards on this. We've got Putin. We've got, the leader of China. We've got Trump. We've got Netanyahu, who can, just wage war for fun. And he, I don't know, like every war he ever lost against any Middle Eastern country, he now can try to make up in the next year. It's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if you heard that and then you saw what happened, it's not shocking, and it's also not shocking that they didn't go through the like sort of regular steps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of the Trump administration's history with this, I was pretty upset in 2018 when they tore up the Iran nuclear agreement, and the only reason they did it, and let's be honest about it, because I know MAGA apologists will say, well, it was a bad deal and this and that. Well, maybe it wasn't perfect, but it was the best we could get at the time. And, but, of course, Trump said, well, we're going to walk away from the Iran nuclear deal and we're going to have a better deal, because I'm this master negotiator and all that. And of course, there was no better deal, and there was really no attempt at making a better deal. So, it's kind of like lighting a building on fire and then calling the fire department. And then,
yeah, I mean, I really think they all think that they're like, I told you, they're like the mafia. They're all sitting around and they're all like dividing up territories as to who can go where. Mm-hmm. And anyone that doesn't, he haphazardly, invites other European nations to play, but because other European nations believe in things such as the sovereignty of states and, diplomacy over warfare and other things, they of course don't want to play. So right. you've got Spain saying, sorry, no, you can't fly your planes from here. You had England that like tried to, UK that did it for a little bit and then they kind of backpedaled. And they said, well, you can fly defensive flights and something else. I don't remember. But the thing is, these guys are like true imperialists. Mm-hmm. So I think that, and plus I think there's some economics involved here. I think that, I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't feel like this was a liberation of the resistance of the Iranian people. Because,
yeah,
but it's very interesting because, and even at that, like, so the Shah of Iran, the original Shah of Iran, his son is living in the United States, and he, I guess, was jockeying to take over as the leader, and Trump kind of passed over him and said, no, we need somebody already in the country. But then Trump also mentioned that, but then again, everybody that was in the country that probably was up to speed to lead a country is dead.
Right,
So
right.
so there's that problem.
He literally said that.
Yeah, he
Yes.
did. He did.
Yeah.
Um, in between silent deaths from submarines, as what Hegseth likes to call it, a silent death. I mean, these
Mhm.
guys are like, I don't know if they think they're sort of like writing the next Tom Clancy novel. I mean, this is just crazy.
Well, what's even worse is there's also people who on the right who they start bringing the Bible into it, and this is all we're fulfilling prophecy, and
Oh,
that shit is legitimately terrifying because these are the people who are going to get us all killed. You know what I mean? Because these are the people who think that World War III would be just dandy.
yeah.
Because if
Luckily, I don't. They're not really in power, though, are they?
I worry that they have more power than we think
Mm.
because I mean, you see them. We've all seen the images of all of them, hanging out with Trump, and they're laying the hands on Trump, and because Trump is such a godly man, and all of this. But these are the really scary people because
Right.
these are the people who are literally rooting for the end of the world, because they think that they're going to be
Yeah.
taken up to heaven. As long as you go through life being really angry at trans people and immigrants, God will take you to heaven when the end of the world happens, and that's what they think. And some of them I don't think actually believe it. I think for many of them it's performative because what they really believe in is power. But I think some of them actually do
Oh,
believe it.
I do too. I just think that like typically though, when you're that much of an ideologue, it's very difficult to get like entire countries to follow you and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I'm hopeful as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Uh, and as you mentioned, there's already fracturing inside the MAGA regime.
Mhm.
Although honestly, I feel like it's just picking one of the two evils. I mean, I don't like any of them. Um, but hopefully it is the end of the world. Hopefully it's the end of their world. And I mean, that's my goal.
Karen said in the chat room, I read that some commanders told troops that Trump was anointed by Jesus. Yeah, this kind of stuff has infected our military.
Yeah.
And that worries me, Karen. I'm glad you brought that up. And even though it chills me, but that is the kind of stuff that really worries me. And of course, if you're MAGA or at least MAGA adjacent, you're going to believe that yes, because we hear that all the time from these people. Trump was chosen by God.
Yeah, but I mean, look at his public ratings. I mean, they're plummeting.
Oh yeah,
The business community is going to turn against him eventually because the stock market is yo-yoing. I don't think this is sustainable.
I worry about the business community. I worry that they should have turned against him in the first term very early. I don't know. I don't think the business community, quote unquote, has the balls to stand up to him.
Well, if they're losing money, they will, though.
Even
No,
then, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they want to just ride it out because where are they on the tariffs? Where's the business community?
I thought they sued. I thought a lot of them sued.
Not enough. I mean, I don't know. I just a lot of them are silent, and
I mean, I'm not really looking for a revolution of oligarchs, honestly. Like,
right.
some ways it's good they're silent because then they'll just stay the hell out of the way, and we can do our thing and
Yeah.
put power back in place and end this mess.
Right. Now, I've been very cynical in the last few minutes, obviously, but I will say one thing that
Yes, you have. Yes, you
might
have.
sound might sound well, it's just so hard to get through to these people. It's so hard. But one thing that I will say this. The term World War III is being thrown around a lot. So here's my little bit of optimism. It's not going to come to that. And I know
agree.
it's kind of a nebulous term too. I mean, when I hear World War III, I think of the first thing that comes to mind for me as a Cold War kid is I think about a nuclear exchange with Russia, and I do not believe any of this is going to come to that or anywhere near close to that. I am concerned that the Russians are allegedly helping the Iranians. I don't
Yeah, it was
like
pretty
that.
much. So actually, that was mentioned today on Meet the Nation,
Mm.
um, or the State of the Nation. Sorry.
Face
No,
the nation.
yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's happening. We don't know to what degree, and to be
Yeah.
honest, we're not going to know because the general public doesn't really need to know all those details because if we know, then the Iranian, Republican Guard knows and all this other stuff, and then more of our people are in harm's way. So
Right. Um, the other thing about this, something that people don't really talk about certainly not on our side of this, is I always find it a little bit, how should I put it? Because I've never really
put it
talked
any
about,
way you want.
I've never really talked about this before. The difficult thing, that the difficult position that this puts us in, forgetting right left for a minute, just thinking about this as Americans, the difficult position that we're always in when we have an administration that does something like this is, we can disagree with it, we can be mad about it, we should be, all of it. Like I said, I blame him for ripping up the Iran nuclear deal in 2018. And then, like I said, it's like setting a building on fire, then calling the fire department and patting yourself on the back. But the really difficult thing for me that I struggle with is, well, what do we do now? Because the impulse is, well, we have to stop him. But once the administration, and I felt this way during W, when we're invading Iraq and Afghanistan, the difficult thing is, yeah, we want to stop him, we want to rein this in, but now that we've already gone and done this very foolish thing, how do we stop him, and how do we rein him in a way that doesn't actually hurt? See, and I hate to say it, because I'm almost giving the other side a talking point when I say this, but how do we stop him and rein him in a way that doesn't make America look weak, which we don't want to do on the foreign policy stage either? Do you understand? I don't know if I'm articulating it well.
But I'll respectfully disagree. First off, America does look weak. At this point,
well, I agree with you there. Actually,
they're already seeing the United States as a country they can no longer trust. They're looking at different types of alliances and alignments. That's, in some ways, be careful what you wish for, Trump, because NATO is actually getting stronger for that very reason. They're trying to kind of exist as their own entity without us, at least until Trump is gone.
Right. True.
So I think that ship sailed. I mean, we're not seen as doing anything anymore for any moral reason. True. Everything is for a
it's all transactional.
All transactional. There's way too much out there in the in the sphere of in the communication sphere that proves it. I mean, these guys admit it themselves.
Right.
So, hey, I think it's time that we, because look, like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over pro rah American flag right now. Like, I don't consider him my president, as I've said many times. I don't consider this administration my administration.
Same.
I think a lot of Americans feel that way. So I'm not going to own his mess. And so for me, I hope he does fall on his sword.
Right. Well, I do too, ultimately.
And so I guess my thing is, and I know, look, when you are in a situation like this, you're going to have to make some decisions. And I don't know, you can kind of limit the bleeding, but I don't think you're going to be able to stop the bleeding immediately and cauterize it, right? So I think what you're going to have to do is, which we didn't do, but we should have enacted the War Powers Act, and we should have froze the funding. And we would have put him in a position, and see, people don't, this is where I am a little bit more strategic. I'm willing to be a little more strategic and do some things that a lot of people aren't willing to do. Had I been the president, had I been like Schumer, I wouldn't be the president in this case, but had I been someone in a position to do so, I would have froze the funding. Mm-hmm. And I would have done very much what we did with the shutdown. And when people started crying about, well, if you freeze the funding, you're not supporting the soldiers, and then the soldiers are going to get injured and all that, I'm like, no, he's the one doing it. I froze the funding because this is an illegal war. And I want to bring these people home. That's on him if he chooses to keep them there without the right resources, because this is an illegal war. And we can't keep on excusing behaviors because we're worried about casualties. There are casualties in war. There will be casualties at this point. It's all about letting people know who is the real fire starter here. And it's him, and it's Netanyahu, and it's Putin. These are the evil ones. And it's Hegseth, and it's Rubio. I'm sorry, I'm not going to buffer things so these guys don't have a rough time.
Right. Understood. And I fundamentally agree. There is one other piece of this that we talked about right before the show, and I have something here from Reuters, and this is this has to do with the economic impacts that we are going to be feeling, are starting to feel already. Iraqi oil production collapses with Strait of Hormuz blocked by conflict. Just a summary of the article here. It says Iraq cuts oil output due to Middle East conflict. Storage is full. Remaining output heads to domestic refineries. Southern exports set to halt due to lack of tankers. So, for people who don't know, the Strait of Hormuz that's a vital artery. Oil has to be able to move through there,
Right?
And we're going to, I don't know how bad it's going to get, but
it will. So it will hurt trade. It will hurt all of trade, international trade, and it also will hurt the fact that, so our oil now, at least, we are finally admitting we don't really need their oil. Like, we have plenty of oil. So it won't hurt us oil-wise, but it will hurt us in many other ways. And it will hurt the Saudis, which I personally don't care. But, that's the only good thing about this, is it could hurt the Saudis. But that Trump should care, because they're supposed to be his buddies. So
I do think, though, whether or not we need the oil, and I agree. I mean, we don't need the oil. We've been energy self-sufficient for a long time, actually. But I think, though, it's still going to affect us price-wise, because if you spook the markets,
yep.
And I don't have a sophisticated enough understanding of how that all works, but I think it is already starting.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because investing is emotional. I mean, it really is. It's done on security. It's done on a feeling of security. Right now, the good faith and trust of the U.S. dollar. Like, who the hell is trusting the U.S. dollar right now? I mean, it's a disaster. Especially where we've got one guy who likes to, he's starting now. It's like this administration. I feel like every day they go in and they say, what game should we play today? Monopoly or Risk? So, and this is like what they do on a daily basis now.
Karen in the chat says, I forgot who actually said this, but I heard a politician in Europe refer to this as the Trump regime. It was jarring, but that's exactly what it is. Oh, yeah. And I hear Americans say that.
I call it a regime all the time.
You call it a regime all the time. I do as well. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anything else on Iran, or should we move on?
The only other thing is that it would be interesting if anybody knows out there listening. The rumor. So here's the thing that I find very interesting.
Oh, yes. I forgot about this part.
Even if indeed we did this, I don't know, just to play devil's advocate, we'll play the game. Okay. So we did this to give the country back to the, liberation, resistance that are pro-people, pro-democracy, civil liberties. And we were trying to set them up for a win. Okay, well, first off, that's not how you do it. Everyone I've heard that knows about this sort of thing has literally said it's the way we did it is the worst way to set up for an actual real revolution.
Yep.
Certainly you've already had meetings months and months in advance with the people they're going to take over. Like, and the CIA has prepped them, and the NSA has prepped them. And, you don't just decide arbitrarily. Like he said, well, all the guys were in the same room, Israel said. So I said, let's just go for it. I mean, this is not how you launch, a war that affects a whole region. Well, you don't launch wars anyway, just to launch wars. But, a regional war.
And a preemptive war, because, and we used to hear that term a lot during the W administration. And again, this is something that Trump ran on not doing, but they've actually been using. I think Rubio used the term, we were preempting, because we thought that they were going to attack Israel, or we thought that they were going to attack
There's
us.
about 10 reasons why.
I know.
The other one is that Trump is concerned. He wanted to stop the Republican Guard from sending their assassins after him. Guess what, Trump? You just made sure that was going to happen.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
I didn't actually hear that one.
That's one of his paranoias, and that's probably his narcissistic paranoia.
Yeah,
because it's all about him.
Yeah. That's true. Absolutely, that is.
But
true.
I definitely think it's happening now. I mean, it would not surprise me at all if at some point, especially if like you're a little lower on the totem pole, whether you're a family member of his or whether you're like, a secretary of some kind or senior level in the administration, but not enough to like have, you know, a lot of security around you. I wouldn't want to be them right now because yeah, that's the weapon, the best weapon they have. They will do. They're not beyond terrorist, you know, attacks and assassinations, and that's how they operate.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else on that, or should we move on?
So I forgot to say. So supposedly there's like already a leader that they've picked.
Oh yeah, this is the part that because you know something about this that I didn't realize. Yeah.
Well, I just saw it, but I don't know much about it. I would love to dive into that deeper, but the issue there is that it's quite obvious if they already picked a leader that they would be the Republican Guard and all these people, and it's not a good leader. It's like, weren't they floating? They were at one point they were floating the Ayatollah's son, who's supposed to be just as outrageous as the Ayatollah.
Right. Well, then there's the Shah of Iran. Because we were talking about this before the show. I'm trying to find
Trump
something
doesn't
about
like
this.
him for some reason.
But Trump doesn't like him because Trump says it has to be somebody who's already in the country.
Right. Oh, you mean people that are already in the country have to run the country? You can't just go into other countries and decide you're going to run it? Oh, okay.
I found something here. 9news.com. Son of ousted king positions himself to take over in Iran.
It's the Shah's son?
No, this is the other guy that you were talking about, I think.
Great. So guess what? We failed.
Well, Trump even did you see this when Trump was talking to the press and he actually said that might happen? We might fail.
But what about this? What if, because Trump is a narcissistic lunatic and he wants to, like, you know, build a bigger sandbox, quite literally, to just like brag about it. Like, you know, that's the other thing too. I heard a very interesting podcast about how Trump is in legacy mode. I think he's given up, that he's going to probably more than likely not going to be able to pull off like a third term as president.
Right.
He's kind of come to terms with that.
Yeah.
So his new one is like, I'm going to put my face all over Washington, everything, which he doesn't know that, like, and I've talked to several people that are very high up. The very first thing we're going to do when we take back power is tear this crap all down. Like, if he thinks the Department of Justice is still going to have his mugshot hanging when he's done, what an idiot.
Right. Maybe we'll pry his name off of the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, we will.
We will go back to being the Kennedy Center.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait.
I know.
By the way, does this all help us in the midterms? Do you think the Iran thing? I think it does.
All of it. See, that is the plus side of all of this.
Yeah.
Is that on a political standpoint, I'm actually, I don't want to say happy he's doing this because lives are being lost and this is awful.
Of course.
But I am happy that the world is seeing what I predicted and what many people predicted. And it is sad though, because why do we always have to learn this the hard way?
But if you look at what's happening in Texas, for example, that should give us a lot of hope. You know,
no, for sure. But like, but it didn't have to come to this.
Right. Well, of course.
Like, if we had impeached him like we should have, if we had not worried about a popularity contest or the optics of impeaching someone running for president who's a member of the mafia, his own mafia, like who rapes children, like who has a bunch of friends that rape children. Like, why did we not get rid of these goons?
Allegedly. I just want to put that word in there.
It's not alleged.
Well,
it's not. They're predators.
Just trying to protect us a tiny bit.
But come after me, buddy. Come after me. You'll just boost my ratings.
I hope
you come after me.
That's true. I actually, we don't mind. We don't mind the attention.
Come on, baby.
That is true. All right. Anything else on that, or
no? I guess I've gone off on the. You know.
No. I love it, but I know that we should talk about Sarah.
Yes, we should. Because
there's been some wins there that I know you want to talk about. Sarah
Amazing wins. So, first and foremost, all of the behind the scenes wrangling that Sarah was doing while we were in the process of really laying the groundwork to get rid of the concentration camp in Merrimack. Sarah was actually negotiating with the Washington side of things and talking to them about stuff and using her leverage there. Before she's been put into Congress. So, you know, these are the kind of things we want to see in our leaders, you know, not like talking about what they think they might do if they got the chance, but maybe they don't really know, but
writing a strongly worded letter.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what this country needs. And then the thing, what was really beautiful is there was a plane full of detainees that the DHS decided, and they claim, Pease Air Force claims they had no notice of this. I think they had like a 15-minute notice.
Mhm.
So they force landed this. Why they force landed it into a snowstorm is beyond me, but they did. And so, all these people in New Hampshire and all these activists and all this were like super nervous because these people were literally sitting on the tarmac freezing because these planes don't have the best, and they weren't bringing water out to them or whatever. Like, this was not a good look. And Sarah actually, again, had been in Washington, and she went and she basically lobbied these people. And, one thing I have to give Hassan credit, she picked up the phone and she had that airplane pushed into the hangar and given them water and given them heat and, tried to make the best of a not great situation. So again, Sarah's not getting paid yet, and she's doing the kinds of things that a congressperson should be doing.
Right. Oh, by the way, Sarah too. Sarah was holding the microphone for Jenny when Jenny spoke at that event before the State of the Union in Washington. Jenny sent me the video, and I was like, "Oh, that's Sarah. Sarah's there with her holding the mic." So that was really cool. And of course, the other, I mentioned victories. The big victory you mentioned Merrimack. I mean, that's because I think in episode 14, the previous episode, that was still in play. Looked like, at that point, it looked like it was still going to happen, like that facility was going to go in, but nope, down in flames with it. So that's good.
And we got rid of Nome. But I mean, that's all. I mean, I just don't like her, so it's whatever. I'm not naive to think though that like, oh, we got rid of Nome, so now everything's going to be better. I mean, not at all.
Right. She does have great hair. I'll say that for.
Does she? Well, I mean,
she got
a lot
hair.
of pop stars have great hair. She looks like a she looks like a,
What do you think is behind that? I don't understand.
Oh, I know. So I think that this is how all dictators work, right? If you want your pet tigers in your gilded palaces, you can have your pet tigers in your gilded palaces as long as things are going the way I want them to go, and I'm getting the credit. Well, Christine Nome, things started to not go the way, and the public started to turn on Trump and turn on Lewandowski and turn on all these other guys. And I think behind closed doors, even Miller, who's known for not liking people, probably said to him, look, we need someone to fall on a sword on this one, because unfortunately we didn't succeed on this. Like, 2 people were killed. We don't care, but the public does. And we can't run a revolution or even an imperious revolution like that blatant. So we have to pretend we care. So we need someone. Oh, and by the way, Christine Nome, we can even give valid reasons why we need to get rid of her, because of her abuse of money and power. She's got a $70 million jet that her and Lewandowski were flying around in that was decked out to the hilt. She's got, she stole that guy's home, that mansion. Did you hear about that? Yeah, she just decided she was going to live there.
She's a squatter.
Right. I mean, the secretary of DHS doesn't usually get a home, but she does with Christine Nome.
Yeah.
And then she spent $200 million on a campaign, which I think this is the part that Trump didn't like. It barely had Trump's face in it anywhere. It was all about her.
Right.
And how she was going to take down the criminals.
Mistake. Yeah.
Right. Barbie Battalion. She was going to.
Right. Yeah. And of course, she's out, so Lewandowski's out.
Right. Thank God. Although Lewandowski might be running. Did you hear this?
No, I did not.
Now we're going local. So yes, this is the lore.
Okay.
Lewandowski might come run for Republican District 1.
I don't think he has much of a chance, does he? I don't feel like
no, but I'd love to throw eggs at him.
Because nobody really likes him, I don't think. I feel like even a lot of Republicans in the state don't really like the guy that much. So
I think didn't even Chris Brown, or was it Jason Brown? What's his name?
Scott Brown.
Yeah, Scott Brown. I think even he was kind of anti the ICE stuff, to at a point.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good.
I might be wrong, but
I mean, he's not super right wing. He's kind of he's a northeastern moderate
he's from Mass, right?
Republican. Yeah, he's from he's a Massachusetts Republican, so he's not going to be super right wing. I mean, I'm sure he's very comfortable with MAGA because they all are to some extent, but he's not going to be a hardcore right winger.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
he's not like I don't know. I don't know enough about him. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so so we did win with the immigration stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, it looks like the bringing it back to state level here, it looks like the Charlie Kirk Act passed.
Yes. Yes.
So
I've
that's very disturbing.
got something
Um,
here from New Hampshire Bulletin about that. House passes bill banning, quote, leftist indoctrination in LGBTQ plus teaching in public schools.
right.
Because I don't know if you know this, Todd, but according to my Republican friends, the entire point of public education is to turn everyone gay and make them trans. I don't know if you knew this.
Gay entrance.
Gay and trans.
So
Yeah.
it's like gay, like a stepping stone.
Yeah,
Kind of like
you know,
marijuana was the gateway drug. So now
like
like gay is
like
the gateway drug to trans.
first you turn them gay, and then if that goes well, if it takes, then you go ahead and make them trans, which is probably very confusing for the children. I can see why parents would be concerned. But
Very
that's the
confusing
entire,
for me. Very confusing for me
yeah,
as a gay man.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I never
It
wanted
must
to
be.
be. I never had any like desire to suddenly turn trans. I mean,
Like, well, be glad that you're in the generation that you're in, because if you were a young person today in school, you'd
I
not
couldn't
only
be
be
gay
gay,
because I couldn't
but
stop there.
yeah, they'd make you trans.
Uh-oh.
Remember when Trump even literally said that during the 2024 campaign? Do you remember that? Like at a campaign stop, he said, you send your kid to school and they come. Unironically, he
Oh,
just
the
says
school
this.
teachers, the nurses.
You send your kid to school and then you pick them up after school and they're a different gender. And he
Right,
just
right.
deadpan says it.
Right, but this is really about erasing history because it says here restrictions include prohibits schools from teaching or promoting specific topics, including critical race theory, gender ideology, LGBTQ plus studies, and Marxist or anti-constitutional doctrines. It also bans lessons that instruct students to identify as oppressors or oppressed based on identity. So they can't admit that they're oppressed.
right.
Or no, sorry. Right. Well, either. They can't admit that the Trump administration is an oppressor, which is interesting because these guys brag about it. So that's what's so bizarre. Like, I feel like they should all get in the same room and at least come up with like a joint messaging.
Yeah.
Because like, how do you spout off? Like, if you are the next imperialist, then you're an oppressor.
Right.
You can't be an imperialist without oppressing.
Right.
So I don't know why they're afraid, of these people saying that the United States oppressors. They should be proud of that. Isn't that what they wanted?
Right. Right. But it feels like we're never going to get past all this,
We will.
all this stuff in public schools where they're just trying to, it's like, and obviously, I mean, I was being funny about it, but nobody's trying to make your kid gay or trans. But I do think in public schools that the idea is that everyone should be able to be comfortable there, regardless of their orientation or sexual identity, gender identity, whatever it is. So I think they do teach in public schools,
Tolerance.
hey, yeah, tolerance, exactly. Hey, don't call the gay kid a gay slur. Hey, let's try to be supportive of people who are dealing with gender issues and their identity and whatever, and make school an inclusive place where everyone feels safe. I mean, I think that's the whole idea,
Yeah.
right? But conservatives take that and they're trying to
Also,
indoctrinate everybody.
It took me, granted, I took an extensive queer studies course in college, but it took me college. Like I don't know. I mean, younger people, I guess, I don't know, maybe Anthony can tell us at some point. Like I was not aware there was this extensive queer studies, like certainly not middle school and not even in high school. So
it's the same thing with critical race theory. That's college level stuff, but they throw that around. They're teaching our fifth graders critical race theory. It's
don't think,
no, they're not. No, they absolutely
we're just trying to keep them
not.
off of TikTok and try to get them to like,
right. They're teaching our third graders to hate themselves for being white. It's like
what they're really going to hate though is all of the history books and how they're going to look after this mess. Then they'll really hate that. Hey, I just want to like play a little game here. A little game I found out, right?
Okay.
Where are Jan Sixers now? Well, let me tell you where they are right now.
Oh, I know where
they just picked up a guy in Florida, who is I think picked up for sexual assault or molestation of what? Three girls? Three? Well, we don't know if they're girls or boys, but three teenagers.
Oh, I don't know. That's not where I thought you were going with
Oh,
it.
but then there's another one. So the other Jan Sixer was doing a rally out in front of Gracie Mansion, and they found bombs or some type of explosive device. So this guy, you know, I mean, evidently, if it's okay to attack the Capitol, it's certainly okay to attack Gracie Mansion. So
Yeah. Well, some of them have been recruited into ICE too.
well, that's true too.
Yeah.
So
Which makes sense. Perfect job for them, I guess.
so there again, it's like, well, why? I mean, you should be glad we're calling your people aggressors because they are. Like,
Right.
like, isn't that what you wanted?
Yeah.
That's what I find interesting.
Right.
I mean, how you can't be a strong man without being a strong man. I mean, that's what I
Right.
don't get.
Right. But yeah, the Charlie Kirk law, that's what they're calling this.
Yeah,
Which is weird too. Like
it's embarrassing. The whole thing's embarrassing. The guy was a hate monger. He was, he was like, Charlie Kirk. What Charlie Kirk did, fine dialogue, debate, all of that, but he would purposely incite people. It was all for ratings. He would, he definitely crossed the line. He broke hate speech laws in the states that have them. He basically hung a target on his own head and said, "Come at me." And I'm not saying they should have done it. They shouldn't, but it's common sense. If you know what, Charlie Kirk might as well have just been the chum to a shark feeding frenzy. He just grabbed all this meat and jumped in the shark feeding pool. Like, ridiculous.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
No, I would because
well, I know. I'm just saying I wouldn't.
Well, because think about this. Like, we have all of these because what's happened is, you can't have it once you radicalize the right and let the radicalized right come out of the closet, so to speak. Then people that are unstable and unhappy and angry and frustrated on the left are also going to come out and get more aggressive. So, or whatever, or just
but
honestly,
not as much.
Right, but it's not right or left. Actually, these people are just. What I'm saying is these are triggers. He was a trigger to mentally, unstable people. It's not about right or left anyway. So if you're going to do that, I'm not saying it was justified.
Right. No, I get that.
He was a catalyst. Like, you can't. So
I agree. I agree with you there. I guess the only thing, because some people say, well, he was the architect of his own demise, and that I think in a broader sense, I agree with you. And this type of toxic stuff that he and his ilk put out into the zeitgeist does create violence. So I agree with you there. But I also don't want to. I don't know what
Charlie
I'm trying to say.
It's all like relative. It's all in levels, right? Like, Charlie Kirk was still Charlie Kirk. So at the end of the day, he was an entertainer. He was a more fiery, more like right-leaning Joe Rogan. He was that basically what he was.
And he was young, so he was appealing to college kids and
now. So it wasn't the Stephen Miller tour. So how people, Stephen Miller, you can justify for the greater good whatever happens to him. Like, that's a different situation. That's like Nuremberg, as far as I'm concerned, with Stephen Miller. But with Charlie Kirk, he certainly didn't deserve to be executed.
No, I was mortified by what happened to him.
But I guess I've become so just like, I've lived through so many like social revolutions that I'm just not surprised. I mean, I get that. We could say the same for like Martin Luther King, who I respect and love, and like Malcolm X, who I respect in some respects. Like, if you poke the bear or you throw fluid on the fire, lighter fluid on the fire, eventually you get burned. I mean,
I see what you're saying. In other words, it's
I'll use me as an example. If I chose to go to a white nationalist rally and got on a megaphone by myself or whatever, or just a few group of us, and like was harassing them and yelling at them and calling, all this stuff, and like, it wouldn't be surprising if eventually I had some sort of hit on my head or some sort of like attempt on my life or whatever. Like,
right. It's funny. And Karen said in the chat, it's safe to say that he lived and died in the world that he wanted. it kind of makes me think, and actually I think her comment relates to this, and this is something I hadn't thought about quite this way.
I mean, I agree,
before.
Karen, but
I wonder, do you think Charlie Kirk felt safe generally because more the, I mean, the right will try to claim that the left is so violent, and we're not. Most of the violence comes from the right. That is an objective
absolutely,
fact.
absolutely.
Do you think Charlie Kirk in some way felt safe and insulated from ever having to face consequences for the toxicity that he was putting out into the world, because he just assumed no one on the left would ever take a shot at him?
Well, everyone assumes the left is all pacifists, and they always assume that, like,
Right.
they're all anti-gun. And I think, for a long, long time, that was a pretty accurate assumption. I mean, not that we were total pacifists, but that we always went for like non-violent solutions.
Right.
But the problem is that, like, many people, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I just mean reality. Like, we've cornered people. This is literally, to some people, and I'm not saying it's even like logical, but it kind of is quasi-logical. Like, if you're an immigrant right now and you're a young immigrant, and let's say not only are you a young immigrant, but let's say you live in a part of the United States or in an urban area that is like, you see violence anyway. You see a lot of violence. You see a lot of conflict being dealt with through violence. You see gangs. You see all of this, right? So to them, to people that are encultured in that way, it's not a big step to like defend themselves in that respect. And furthermore, and on the other side too, in a resistance way, if you literally feel like if you don't fight, you're going to be marched off to a concentration camp, which you very likely could die at, I'm not shocked. Now, again, the difference is Charlie Kirk is not that. Charlie Kirk doesn't have that kind of power. He can't decide, or he couldn't decide whether you were detained or not. I mean, so I do think there is a difference. Like, like that level of anger at a Lewandowski is very different than that level of anger at a Charlie Kirk.
Right.
But in the same token, people are just angry.
Yeah.
And I think the other problem is, like, a lot of people feel hopeless. I mean, and the minute people feel hopeless, they get desperate.
Very true. Very true. As I'm thinking about it too,
we're sheltered. I mean, honestly, in many ways, I'm safe. I can pretty much say what I want to say and not have the secret police come after me. I mean, I'm probably on a list. I'm sure I am. But
you'll have people in various organizations maybe get mad at you.
Yeah, but that's fine. But I mean, for me, it's like it actually.
You know what I'm referring
to? What?
You know what I'm referring to?
Oh yeah. Well, that organization is defunct anyway. Whatever. Who's still talking? Me.
That's right. The other thing too that I just wanted to say too about the Charlie Kirk thing is very often, and I believe, I don't remember all the details, but I think that very often it's not even a matter of left, right with these assailants. It's just not. They're just crazy. Sometimes they're just crazy. Like the guy who killed Charlie Kirk, it sounds like he was just out of his mind.
I mean, crazy is such a loose. I think he was like a very sad individual who like needed serious therapy and didn't get it, and was around a lot of toxic people. And I think that when someone is sick, I don't know, I didn't diagnose the kid, but maybe he was schizophrenic, maybe he was bipolar, maybe he was all these things. So those things untreated can potentially go, especially those things untreated, but not just untreated, but like constantly promoted negatively.
Yes.
Could easily cause problems.
Right. And you said it perfectly before. When people get desperate, they get dangerous. And who's more desperate than someone who's dealing with severe mental illness and other issues, and they're not getting help? What's that?
And you also feel like it's a pariah. I mean, we don't do a good job of taking care of our mentally ill.
Exactly. 100%.
Especially your more like advanced mental illness. As a matter of fact, we wait for it to be an issue. Yeah, we're such a reactionary society, but we can go. That can be a whole other thing. But
we've gotten better about it in some ways.
We have, for sure.
I mean, as I can tell you, as someone who deals with depression, the stigma is much less on something like that than it used to be. But my issue,
it's different in. Unfortunately, it's not. In urban or suburban environments that are like blue to purple, where there's enough progressive people and enough educated people. Like, we really are in this insulated bubble, unfortunately. And it's not the norm. I mean, because if it was the norm, Trump wouldn't be in office. So there's a lot of people that, like, you know, more than we think.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the other thing?
There's a lot of desperation out there, unfortunately.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Absolutely. That might be a good bridge too into something else. And it took me a second to remember what it was, because for some reason I didn't write it down. But you had brought this to my attention as we were talking before the show. Somebody wants in New Hampshire to be able to carry a gun on college campuses.
Yeah. Right.
Which is
we've come. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Todd.
So myself and you know, even everyone that I know, we're all like, let me just say for the record, myself and Sarah and everyone, we're all pro common sense gun laws. Yes. But there are places within common sense gun laws, it's okay to say certain areas and certain places in our society don't need guns.
Right.
And schools are one of those places. And there's some kid, I don't know his name, but you could probably look it up. And he's on the House of Representatives.
In New Hampshire?
In New Hampshire. And he's trying to get a bill passed for open carry he's using UNH as the model, but I think it would be like all colleges in New Hampshire.
Okay. And
as I've been told by the, you know, I was educated about this by the UNH Democratic committee, the group. I mean, it would be so severe that they literally could like take a gun into a classroom and you could like lay it on your desk.
Yeah.
With it being loaded. And if someone says something, they would be fined.
So we should, oh yeah, go ahead.
And you know, what's interesting is that like, there's even all these pragmatic reasons why that's not good. Again,
right.
Like, so now what's happening, one thing UNH brought up and the security of UNH brought up is like, okay, so let's play the scenario out. There's a school shooting and we have to keep the school we have to somehow, you know, take care of the school shooter, right? Who do we go after? You now have this population, all these people are now open carrying guns. You don't know who is safe and not safe. You don't know who's just doing this for like their own protection or as part of the school shooter group. So the likelihood of people getting killed from that situation, for instance, you know, like the security thinking, oh, they're one of the school shooters. And in fact, they're not, especially when they're talking about like carrying around AR, you know, 15s and stuff like that. Like, what do you think? I mean, and in that moment, it's unfair and unreasonable to ask, like, you know, at that point, they'll bring in, like, I'm sure if that was a situation like SWAT, they're not going to sit there and like try to like, you know, take a long analysis as to which one of these kids running around with an AR-15 is a good AR-15 and which one's bad.
Right. I mean, I would probably make a more direct argument and just say to anyone who thinks this is a good idea, really, you want to trust college kids to be carrying around guns?
Plus they're like doing keg stands and like, you know, pantsing each other in the hallways and all this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly, but you know what I'm saying? They're being kids, which is fine. Be kids, but it's supposed to be safe to be a kid. Right. Like, you know, you shouldn't have to walk around campus. And especially with all the vitriol and all of the anger and all of the, you know, going on, like now, worst case scenario, you piss off the wrong person, you get punched in the nose. You bring that into play and someone just decides to shoot someone.
Yeah, I think it's something we should clarify too, because for people who are consumers of our program who are not in New Hampshire and who don't know New Hampshire politics might be a little confused about something. We should clarify that in New Hampshire, so we have effectively a citizen legislature. We have, I believe it's the third largest democratically elected legislative body in the world, our New Hampshire legislature. It's 400 something people.
430, something around there.
Yeah. And it barely pays anything. I think you get a $100 stipend or something, and you get to go through the toll booth for free. And so that's why, for people who are listening to us going, what? There's a college student who sits on your state legislature? Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
There are college students. There are very old people who are retired. And just
people on
who,
life support, hey.
Yeah. I remember Bob Backus, who, and he's an older gentleman himself, so he could make this joke. He said that the average, what did he say? The average or the median age of the New Hampshire state legislature was deceased. So, so that's how we end up with, a college kid from UNH with this kind of power, quote unquote, if you want to call it that. And I did find this on WMUR. Legislation to lift all gun bans at public colleges and universities in New Hampshire is moving forward. House Republicans passed it. And Representative Sam Farrington, Republican of Rochester, says, we in New Hampshire have made it clear self-defense is not a privilege. It is a natural right. And natural rights are given by governments. They are not given by governments. They are granted by God alone. Farrington is a student at UNH. Yeah, they've got to bring in the God stuff. He also said this. He said, quote, we hear college students are too drunk. They're too immature. They're too young to carry a firearm. My question is, how can we allow them to vote then? And how do we let them go fight in a foreign war? Well, I can answer one of those questions.
I don't want them to fight in foreign wars. So there's the first thing.
Right. And the other thing, how do we allow them to vote? Well, guess what? When you go to vote, you're not going to be
drunk vote.
Right. You're probably not going to be drunk and accidentally shooting somebody when you go to vote. So that's why. So, yeah. So no. And by the way, this is coming from someone who, and I'm sure I'm probably, this is an issue where I tend not to be particularly liberal. Like a lot of New Hampshire Democrats, I'm very pro 2A. I feel very safe with the level of gun ownership in our state. We live in a very safe state. I have no problem with people having guns. I really don't. But this is stupid. You should not have guns on college campuses. You cannot trust college kids with guns. As much as I want to protect everyone's Second Amendment rights, we do have to inject some common sense. And I also do support common sense gun laws too.
I mean, there are just some places that it's not necessary. You don't need it in hospitals. You don't need it in, I mean, they don't need it in the legislature, and they have it.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, this is a dumb idea. And, hopefully this young man will mature at some point. And because I don't even hear most Republicans saying, oh, I think it'd be a great idea to have guns on college campuses.
It seems like he was just wanted to be noticed.
I think so. That's probably what it is. And I don't want to be the dismissive old guy saying, oh, this young person just wants attention. But that probably, well, thank you. I'm middle-aged, but I don't want to sound like an old, these young people today, they just want attention. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be perceived that way.
No, I mean, Trump's an old fuck and he wants attention.
That's true. He's pushing 80. When does he turn
80? He's past 80.
No. Yeah. Trump? No, I think he's 79, isn't he? Is he 80?
Oh, he's above 80.
Wait, hold on. Trump? I don't think he is. No, he's 79.
Oh, God. I thought he's 85.
But he turns 80 on June 14th. June 14th, he turns 80. He'll be the big 80.
Lucky us.
But, they say 80 is the new 79. I read that in GQ. So there's that. Biden is rumored to have had a coffee cup on his desk in the Oval Office that said life begins at 80.
Really?
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I made that up. I made that up. Well, Todd, it's we're coming up on an hour. Anything else you wanted to touch on before we Oh, wait. Before we do anything else, Karen just made a great point in the chat room. It's a risk of increasing domestic violence incidents on campus. Karen, that is referring to the guns. Karen, that is a great point because Karen. We know domestic violence, rape is very common on college campuses in America.
So they can now rape women at gunpoint.
Is very common.
Or boys for that matter.
Yeah.
Because these aggressors, a lot of times these aggressors, I think there's a lot more, not that we're going to go off on this whole tangent, but I mean, you don't have to specify the gender because I think that same-sex rape happens more often than we think.
Yeah. Well, certainly in prison it does. I don't know.
No, but I think even in these college communities and stuff like that, at frat houses and stuff for sure.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, at least not. I mean, rape is a loose term, but purposely. I mean, because if you're just some predator and you just want to get off, I don't know. In many cases, a lot of these people, it's like any hole will do. They don't care. Like, you know,
right.
and it's all about just
Or,
like power.
Well, there's also hazing.
Yeah, that's
too,
what I mean.
like at fraternities,
right? Which oddly has homosexual undertones.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole other story. Whole other story.
That's a good pun. Whole other story. I like puns.
Good thing. Good thing Anthony isn't our guest today.
Oh, I know. We'd have people mad at us. How dare you use the word "hole" in front of a young person?
Yep. I know.
Well, very good. Well, Todd, anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to mention, or anything about the campaign?
Right? Always some new things.
Oh yeah, we live in very interesting times. That's for sure. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, or also too where they can learn more about Sarah and her campaign?
So you can go to Sarah at sarahc603.com, I believe. Let me make sure. I don't know why I should know this off. I mean,
I think it changed at one point, didn't it? That might be why it's hard to.
Yeah, but I'm supposed to do the community. I mean, I should know. I'm her communication strategist. I just get confused. I double think things, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Because I know at one point the URL for the website changed.
It did, but we had to. That's a whole other story. But anyway.
Yeah.
Why won't it let me?
Well, while Todd looks.
Okay, hold on.
While you look that up, Todd, I'll just tell people mattconnarton.com if you want to keep up with everything that I'm doing. And if you'd like to book a hypnotherapy session, you can learn more about that as well at my website.
I'm right. It's sarahc603.com.
Okay.
And listen, if you guys like the things that you guys heard and you want to support, whether it's through volunteering or financially support, it can be just something as simple as $6.03. Please go on to sarahc603.com and click the link to volunteer or to donate, because we are 100% grassroots campaign. Mm-hmm. We are not taking PAC money. I know a lot of people say that, but we really don't. And it's not cheap to fight a war, and that's kind of what we're fighting right now. I mean,
right. 100%. Absolutely. And what about you, Todd? Where can people find you?
I'd have to look at all my different URLs, but like Facebook, you can follow me. Todd Ayer, although it's private, so I'll have to allow you. You can follow me on Instagram, although again, I'll have to take a look, but like you can always just Google me. Also, I am the Provocative Progressive on Substack. I actually want to get that up and running. Matt, I was thinking, there's a thing on there and it says like how to monetize your Substack. So I was thinking we should definitely start moving all these shows over to Substack, and I'll put it on the monetization, and we don't even need a new thing. We can just do it under mine.
Oh yeah. No, that's great. Absolutely. All right. Well, very good. Well, I think episode 15 in the books. So thank you, everybody. Of course, please subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. If it is YouTube where you get this, please like and subscribe. And that's going to do it. Todd, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to y'all a little bit later.